It looks like I've been out in the sun, but I've been here and there's no sun outside. It's a little bit wet at the moment. And here I'm just going to show you this game I've played. And if you have a look at the game I placed on Saturday, you'll see that my performance rating was very similar to this, 2865. Now, that is the computer, Stockfish 13, actually rating my play. My opponent is from Israel, and my opponent is 2365. So it's the only game I've played in this Italian game, this Italian restaurant game, Super Blitz Arena. Well, I didn't actually know that it was a 3-minute chess. I didn't actually know that it was the Italian game, so I was a bit surprised to see the first couple of moves for each player played already. So anyway, so I had to jump in the deep end. So here we go with that game that I've just played, okay? And it's the only game I'm playing because of the time that it is here in New Zealand. I don't really feel like playing anymore. Maybe I don't want to spoil the 2865 with a question mark behind it, by the way, but that's the performance of my play according to that of Stockfish 13, but you might like to be the judge of that. Here we go. So here's the starting position, okay? So I try not to waste any time. Time is very important in chess. And I'm not just talking about the chess clock, but I'm talking also about the other time factor, which is making sure that I keep up with black, especially when my opponent is a very strong player. So I'm playing Queen E2 in the same sort of theme of that which I like in the Spanish. D5. So here I have to react, of course, as black threatens my bishop and my e4 pawn, so capture. And here comes d4. And so black really wants to do something expedient about this one as well. So captures and bishop e6. And you can see the score, of course, if you so wish. So I'm just showing this for just clarity, really. Nothing really else. So here's knight c3, bishop e6, knight g5. So here black captures on c3, threatening, of course, knight e2 check. So I play bc3, bishop e6, queen c4, and h6. Now some players would play knight h3 to go to knight f4 maybe soon. So, but I played knight f3. And so what I like about this is this long diagonal for this bishop of mine, which otherwise hasn't really got much life on f4, I think. So here's queen f6, bishop h3 as promised, rook e8, and then I just contest the only open file on the whole board, which is the e file. Rook a d8, rook e3, just keeping it simple, rook e3, f e3. Now we have rook e8 and just rook e1, queen f5, and here's the only time that I'm sort of thinking. I spent a wee bit of time here, 24 seconds. So my opponent is 215 rating points above mine. So here's queen d3. So here I have to defend this pawn. And I felt the best way to do that was to play c4. And here my opponent played queen b3, ab3. Knight d8, Now, some players may want to play knight e5, but I just played king f2, protecting this e4 pawn again, this e3 pawn again, and c6 and king e2. I notice that there's no threat of bishop d4, e4 not possible because of rook e2 check, or rook on e8 check to the king, as I just capture, of course, with my knight. So I'm just trying to play carefully here. Bishop c7, because I quite like to play a little bit assertively, if you get what I mean. So king d3, and now I've got my king positioned in a pretty good state for the endgame process. So here comes knight e6 and g3 to just hold back worries of this h2 pawn from this bishop. Okay, so it means I can run my knight around a little bit, because we've got to be very careful with pawns, particularly that in the endgame. So here's f5. Well, I think that this gives me a pawn at least to threaten, and it's very difficult for black to defend this pawn, because we can all see that rook f8 is of course going to be captured with this bishop on a3, and that will also result thereafter in most cases with knight f5 next move for white, which clearly is a better position for white than it is for black. So here's knight g5, and we've got knight f5, knight e4, and this is a mistake, as now knight e7 is check, and king f7, and I've got king e4. So really, in this position here, after knight e7 check, the best thing for black would be to capture this knight, and thereupon this, and the rest will be according to the way I feel like playing the game, because the knight has a couple of places to go. Can even go knight f2 check and knight g4, but it might eventually land on the square f6 anyway from there. So, but anyway, black played king f7, so I just took this knight, so that now I would have an exchange up with an extra pawn, and against black's king and bishop and 5 pawns. So I've got 6 pawns and a rook if black captures on e7, bishop e7, which rook e7 is check, of course, king e7. Now I've got a very clear advantage, decisive advantage in my opinion, as long as I don't go haywire. So here's, after rook, bishop d8, we've got rook f1 check. Now the king cannot go anywhere else than to the e file, and that's the only square the king can go to. So of course I now play d5 check, and here's king d7 and d6, c5, bishop c5, bc, bc6, b6, bishop a3, and this is where my opponent respectfully resigned. So that's all I wish to show you. I hope you enjoyed that wee game that I will place here as a wee aperitif.